The thin veil that is the ocean still obscures so many mysteries. Life forms as alien as the faraway stars, clues to our own past, half remembered almost amidst the web of history. Silent beneath the sunlit sea, the stones themselves may speak of the secrets of another age, of fallen temples and forgotten lives in a land they called Atlantis. Since man first entered the oceans to unravel its mysteries, one secret remains for the most part elusive. Scant clues as to the existence and location of lost Atlantis remain hidden within the depths, as if held in a timeless trust by the myriad creatures of the sea. From time to time, these guardians of the ages allow our eyes to glimpse a tantalizing piece of the puzzle. But as sentinels of a mystery as old as man himself, they grant us merely a dim and shadowed view through the narrow portal of history. These faint and cryptic messages from our ancient past may be locked in the very stones of the seafloor. They may lead us along a barely discernible path, laid out long ago beneath the silent sea. Here the stones themselves may speak of a dream long held in the collective memory, of a golden age in the human story. Occasionally, the pieces of this puzzle, as vast as time, present a clue of promise, a hint as to the structures of the ancients, decipherable to a dedicated few who track the trackless way, and see the signs, the steps, the marks of men amidst the sunken, ruined order of nature, scattered out beneath the oceans of the world in seeming randomness and abandon. This journey of rediscovery takes us towards the very center of our Earth, in an attempt to unravel the fabric of time itself, to probe and pull from the depths the ancestral messages that may remain. By utilizing every conventional tool and every innovative technology that modern men devise, this science, sent seeking like a silver eye in space, scans the broad reaching of the ocean realm. Faint fragments of this mystery lie strewn upon the ocean floor, from the Azores to the Amazon, and on across the Grand Bahama Bank, where evocative sand-blown patterns, like hieroglyphs, lead the searchers on, sometimes shifting by storm or tide to reveal the possibility of a long-ago civilization. Perhaps the workings of some forgotten race with the reputation of gods and the limitations of men. The challenge is the decoding of a message transmitted through myth and legend down through the ages, and so often obscured by the retelling of the tale, by the passage of time, or the force of the elements themselves. What has been sent down to us intact, like some returning craft launched so long ago, and which some believe exists and still remains above and below the waves, is a name. That name is Atlantis, fabled mother of empires and cradle of cultures. Her influence and power spread across the oceans of the world, but as men, with curiosity and conquest at heart, they spread out upon the earth and spawned the ancient cultures of the world. Those who subscribe to the theory of Atlantean expansion cite the mysterious megalithic structures of Europe as possible proof of contact. And it must be admitted that the similarities of culture and design, now separated by thousands of miles of open ocean, are, at the very least, striking and intriguing. To the west, the cultures of the Maya, Aztec, and Inca. To the east, the cultures of Egypt and India all pose unanswered questions as to their origin. If only the stones could speak, would they converse in a common language across the gulf of time and space? It is in the land of the pharaohs, Egypt, the crucible of civilization, that we find the first clear clues as to the existence, influence, and demise of Atlantis and its inhabitants. The Egyptians were the only people of antiquity who were well informed as to the history of Atlantis. 600 years before the birth of Christ, Solon, the great lawgiver of Athens, returned to Greece from a 10-year sojourn in Egypt. To the Egyptians, Greek civilization lacked continuity. They viewed the Greeks as children who had often lost their way, and apart from poetic myth, had no continuous record of previous millennia. Amongst Solon's newfound knowledge was a detailed history of the Atlantean age. His intention was to commit the tale to epic verse, but infirmity and death intervened. 200 years would pass before his descendant, Plato, one of the most profound thinkers and historians of the ancient world, would take up the task in his letters to Timaeus and Critias. What Plato recounted to his students and followers was not a fanciful yarn of gods, demons, miracles, and mysteries, but a reasonable history of a rich, cultured, and educated people who dwelt in a land called Atlantis, situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, in what we now call the Atlantic Ocean. Though much of Plato's account deals with an attack by a large Atlantean invasionary force on the city-state of Athens, he continues on, in his own words, to describe in minute and splendid detail the continent, culture, and civilization of Atlantis, as it was more than 9,000 years before.
Now this island was larger than Libya and Asia together. Landward, the island presented a mountainous aspect, especially on that side of which looked seaward. Around the royal city stretched a level plain, likewise circled by mountains except on the coast. The Atlanteans built temples and palaces. Bridges directed the waters, which flowed in a triple circle around their ancient metropolis. The part which faced the sea was covered with villas, places for worship. There were outposts of commerce where merchants from all parts came to do their trading. In the middle of the city was the temple of Poseidon, glittering with gold. At the entrance to the bridges were gates, surmounted by defending towers. These bridges were sufficiently high to permit the passage of large vessels. Each of the 2 zones of the city was filled with temples, shrines, groves, and gymnasiums. All around the city stood golden images of all the descendants of the Atlantean kings, together with many statues of royalty and private persons from foreign parts that were in subjection to the Atlantic island. This inner sanctum was fiercely protected by the soldiers of the royal guard. Atlantis itself was divided into zones of power, each overseen by a governor appointed by the royal family and responsible